Hey folks, welcome to the training here today, and I'm super excited that I'm bringing on Rhonda here today to talk a little bit about her business growth, some of the strategies she's implementing. And so I know a lot of you are probably watching either on the Instagram stream, or I know some of you might be popping here on Zoom as well. If you do have any questions, you can obviously go ahead and comment them down below. So Rhonda, let's go ahead and just introduce yourself first and foremost, and then we'll get rocking and rolling with things. So tell people a little bit about who you are, and we'll get going.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm Rhonda, obviously. And if anybody can see this, it says Rhonda and Kyber because Kyber is my dog. He
There you
is
go.
one of my business partners. I have another one named Delilah as well.
I
And
love
so
it.
I'm an online coach for women and their dogs. So I am a nutrition coach, a personal trainer, and a canine fitness coach. And so what I do is basically bring my two passions together into a program that allows women to have their dogs integrated into their wellness program.
I love that. That's so cool. I was out running with my dogs this morning, and it's just one of the best ways ever. Best ways ever to do it. So, and here, someone was actually asking for the Zoom link for them to jump on. If you're watching on the Zoom stream, if you want the Zoom link, folks, it's in the Instagram broadcast channel, but you can also watch it just on the live stream. Um, but Rhonda, let's dive in. We're both Canadians. We live in the same province, which is fun.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is maybe explain to people a little bit where business was at before working with CCI, because I think it's important to people to see like the journey of where things were at, what strategies we worked on, what kind of the results were. So tell people a little bit about like kind of where business was at.
Yeah. So it was it was kind of slow. I was getting some new clients, but not at any regular interval.
Right.
I would maybe get one, two, or three all of a sudden, and then none for new clients for a very long time.
Right.
So my strategy was very inconsistent, I guess. So
Right.
had I've had like really successful months in my business, and then things were pretty stagnant for quite some time. Um,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so like I was with a different mentorship previous a couple years ago, and so I did have some good success with them as well. But then it kind of just
Mhm.
petered out too. It was just I was feeling like I was spinning my wheels. I kept doing all of the
Right.
things. I was posting content, I was messaging people, I was doing all of those things, but I wasn't seeing the conversion of new clients coming in.
Right. Right. 100%. That's fair. And obviously, you had worked with a mentor previously. What kind of led you to be at the place where you're like, you know what? Even though I've worked with mentors in the past, I'm going to do this again. Like, what started to kind of like creep through your mind, being like, you know what? Maybe I do actually want some more help with this.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I do value having a coach, whether that's for like my fitness, for my business, that sort of thing. But financially speaking, it just was not feeling like a safe thing to do after investing so much before, and then not
Right.
necessarily getting the continued return. That's what I want to say is like I did have some,
Yeah.
but it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
Um, and so what kind of shifted for me honestly was like part of it was how much you helped me and like sent me lots of free resources and invited me to
Right.
workshops and like really nurtured me and took care of me. That
Yeah.
was a big part of it, to be honest. That like I knew
100.
I wanted a business coach. I had these conversations with you, and I said like I had a few people in mind, and I was just taking my time to kind of go through that. You were the only one who kept like checking in on me and offering things in the meantime while I
There you
was
go.
kind of deciding. So
Love
um,
that.
I don't know if
Good,
that's
good
like
lesson right there, right? Good lesson there, folks, is like, and this is I've seen this happen so many times. A lot of people, when like let's say they're chatting with a prospect and they don't sign them up, like let's say the first time or whatever it is, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not even going to talk to that person anymore. Which is like they do this because they feel personally rejected. But in business, you need to learn how to take like no's as not yets, right? It's different than like if you were dating or whatever, like if people are just like saying no, 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 you sure feel personally rejected there too. But in business, a lot of times if people can't do it at the point, like build some value, right? Like obviously we sent you workshops. I think you also joined our Instagram boosted course, and you started to see like, hey, these methods actually do work. My following is growing. Actually, let's talk on that for a second. Was that helpful to be like actually diving into a little bit of like our behind the scenes strategy before joining the program to be like, hey, this shit actually works well. Was that a helpful part of like actually making the decision at the end of the day?
Yeah, and well, the funny part of that too is like I was getting leads, I was having conversations, but they were
Yeah.
dying. I wasn't necessarily
Hmm.
converting them into um, calls. So that was
Right.
a big thing too. So yeah, like you're like, here's this thing. And I'm like, okay, well, great. I have these leads, but I'm not securing any of these leads. So
100%. I
yeah,
love this. And actually, and here I'm going to pull behind the scenes a little bit of a behind the scenes strategy for you folks. What we gave Rhonda is like our Instagram boosted thing, which helps people get followers. And this is the type of value piece that we call you solve one problem, but it creates another problem, right? This is a great type of freebie for anyone to create where you actually solve one of your ideal client's problems, but it creates another one that they need additional support with. But because they now have belief that you can solve one of their problems, they now believe you can help them solve the other problems, which is exactly this, right? We now your following is growing. You're like, hey, I actually got way more followers, but now I need to learn to turn these into clients. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I love
yeah,
strategy, so I wanted
I
to just
know.
be transparent here. But go for it,
Yeah, and
Rhonda.
I want to ask you a question if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Like then with like the enrollment, like me enrolling finally, we kind of had a plan, and I did have to find the funds to do it. It was a bit
yeah.
of a process. But the other side of that is like you also showed trust in me in that you allowed me to join the program even before the first payment came through in that way. Like not join the program, but follow along some of the videos and group
For
calls,
sure.
that sort of thing.
For sure. Well, and that's where, like, I mean, frankly, and we can talk about this a little bit, like, you went to great lengths to, frankly, like, find the funds to make it work. And once we knew that they were coming in, we were like, hey, they're coming in. Like, we have obviously like verified stuff. We want to work with you on that.
Yeah.
Let's quickly talk on that, actually. What was the final straw where you're like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna get a mentor? Like, what was that final straw for you that you were just like, I'm making the decision. I'm jumping all the way in.
I don't actually even know when I'd have to go back in like our messages to see where that
Yeah.
actually happened. Um, I think it
Yeah.
was you probably said something about like your own journey of like having not being able to pay your bills and you're like we still were able to get the funds. So
Oh,
like, you know what does it hurt for me to try? And
yeah.
yeah, so I just made like the attempt to just
For
see
sure.
and I get the finances and then when that kind of worked out, I was like, well, here we go.
Yeah, gotta dive in. And that's, I mean, that's the truth. Like when I look back at the probably the first, I always say like probably our first 4 or 5 mentors that Terry and I got for helping us back then to grow our health and fitness business, we never had the cash in the bank account. Like it was, I like we borrowed from family, we put it on a credit card, or we got a business loan from the bank. That's how we did it the first couple times because we didn't have the money. Like I was like making like 2,500 bucks a month working construction. Terry was like we're like making a similar amount working her job. Like it was like we didn't like we didn't come from like, tons of money, and we it is a risk to do it, right? But I want us to talk about them, folks. By the way, if you have questions about growing a business on Instagram, comment them down below. We can definitely answer them here today. Let's talk about the strategy. I think that's where a lot of people are here. They want to know a little bit about like how did Rhonda grow get clients and like gets have such a fast start in CCI. And by the way, you don't have to hold back any punches here. You can share every strategy. Like you can literally tell people what you did. I don't care. I want people to know what a program looks like. So feel free to share everything. What do you feel like was the most helpful in those first 4 to 6 weeks working with your one-on-one consultant or the modules or the group calls that allowed you to like start to see some of that progress?
Well, there was I'm going to say there was a lot of things, but it wasn't like it was huge things, if that makes sense. So obviously, I had created the Instagram boosted post that I feel like I just followed the instructions in that free course, not free course, sorry, it was a paid course. Followed the instructions in there and created the post, which thankfully just did really well right off the bat. Like I was getting new leads like
Yeah.
pretty quickly. And so I get about 10 leads a day, new followers a day.
Mhm.
And that's with spending $5 a day.
Yeah.
Canadian, I should
100%.
Canadian.
Yeah. That's
Um,
perfect.
so that's kind of where it started. So I did have a lot more people to have conversations with. But on top of that, also like Parker's my consultant, he just had talked about doing follow-ups. And so a lot of my new clients were actual follow-ups from past conversations that had kind of died somewhere along the way.
Yes.
So it has been a mix of like I re-engaged some old clients that they came back. I had previous conversations, and then I also had new followers that were part of that
And
influx.
this, I love this. So breaking it down, so we worked on a couple different pieces, obviously, right? We worked on the, okay, all these new followers and leads that you're getting. Let's have a better process to turn these into like sales calls and clients. But also, the nice thing that you've been in the space for a couple of years is that you had a lot of old leads that you just needed maybe a little bit of help with like how to re-engage, how to like re-hook them back into the system. And this is actually, and this is something I teach my team, I teach my clients, I obviously I've probably taught you, Rhonda, is like the people who are most likely to buy today are people that probably already know, like, and trust you, which is usually follow up, which is why we often talk about the fortune is in the follow up, which is why it's important every single day to, yes, get the new leads coming in, the fresh followers and leads, and engage with those people, nurture them, turn them into sales calls. But also, every single day you should be doing follow up because this is how I explain it to people. You get 10 new followers a day, let's say, right? Fantastic. But that means that every single month, you have 300 new followers. Now, most of those people probably won't like buy or book a sales call like in the first week. But that means that next month, you could go follow up with 300 people. Even though you got 10 new leads today, you could go follow up with 300 people. And then the next month, even if you're getting 10 leads new a day, you could follow up with 600 people, which is where the follow up list just grows and grows and grows, which is where you can just get a lot of these clients, right? So, anyways, I wanted to quickly explain that.
Yeah.
What other parts of the program do you feel like have been so beneficial for you? Has it been the one-on-one, them looking over anything, any specific strategies? Like what else do you feel like has been useful for you?
Yeah. So like if we stay we'll talk about messaging for now. I do want to talk about the sales process too. But
Yes.
so even my messaging process, what I was taught previously was kind of, and maybe I took this too literally, but it was kind of like my words need to be very short and they have to have lots of words on them. So, but I also was, like trying to stay out of the friend zone. So it was almost like I was able to
Right.
my new messaging process is I get to be the person that I am in the message, and I can be caring and empathetic and share that with them, because the previous methods was almost felt very cold and like just very one sentence question. So even that, just like how to create that conversation with them that actually feels more authentic to me, in that I would have
For
that
sure.
conversation with them in a coffee shop, basically.
And that's, I always like to describe it like there are frameworks, let's say for messaging, that will book calls, but you still have to be a human within the framework, right? Because there's a spectrum of like, basically you have a bot that's basically responding to like a full-on human, right? There's a spectrum of like super automated to superhuman. The framework could be the same, like the framework of like digging into their goals or their challenges and what they've tried in the past and seeing if they're committed to making a change. Like the framework actually could be similar, but the beautiful thing is that we can tailor it to like, yeah, your voice, how you would say that. How would you ask someone what their health challenges are, right? Like, how would you ask? And that allows it to still be you and your authentic voice, and also still converting people, right? Because some people go like so to like their own voice that they're not following a framework, and therefore they just become friends with the people that they're trying to message. So
Yeah.
you found that very useful. I love that. And that's a big piece, right? Framework, but it's also you. And you were mentioning maybe something about the sales calls. What do you feel like has been helpful on that end of things?
Yeah, so I would say I felt like my sales process was a little bit too high pressured before. Well, it was.
Yeah,
It was, and I
for
again
sure.
didn't ever feel in alignment with it. I felt like it was really, it felt gross to me, and I couldn't wrap my brain around why I couldn't like get over that. Did it work? Sometimes, yes, but it
Right.
fortunately I probably didn't get the best clients out of that either. Um,
Interesting.
so just the way that the sales, I completely revamped my sales script within like that first week of being on the calls. Um,
Right.
and I started enrolling people with zero objections, which I was like, what is happening? It was
Just
kind
so
of,
surprised.
yeah. So that part was really, really, honestly, I'm going to say life changing in terms of
Yeah,
like even how I felt about the sales calls. I don't feel nervous about them anymore. Um, yeah, like I'm genuinely excited when I have a sales call versus
yeah,
I like there was so much nerves going through me previous to that every single time I had a call.
for sure. For sure. And that is, I mean, that's the difference between, again, you're still probably following a strategic framework, right? This framework we have laid out in CCI, but it's you, right? That's just so important to like it to combine both those things. And it's hard sometimes, but that's where we find the best results. We have someone asking a question. The question is, my husband is asking, how can we trust and be sure we will like recover? I'm taking a loan, so he's worried. How will we pay for the program, basically? And this is a great question, and like this is where, and I want to be completely honest, that not everyone comes into a program and makes $27,000 in the first 6 weeks, or like it. I host these types of interviews to actually show a range of what's possible. I mean, some people, I mean, I have a client that I'm working with personally who made $65,000 in like their second month in the program. Like there is those types of results. Some people, it'll take them 6 months to make an extra $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month. And so the truth is, joining a program like ours is a two-way street, we say. We're going to come with our best support, our best strategies, and best accountability, but you have to be there willing to be coachable and to implement what we teach, right? If basically the confidence needs to come from within inside you of I am open to putting in the work. Like Rhonda said, she's like, I watched the video and I did it step by step by step by step. Like you just follow the program, right? If that's you, that's where the confidence can come from. Um, so hopefully that answers your question. If anyone else has some questions, obviously comment them down below. Um, but actually, I mean, this leads me to this, Rhonda, and I don't want to take too much of your time here today. But what would you say is your biggest advice for maybe someone who's watching this who was where you were before? Maybe they're making a couple $1,000s a month, or maybe they're even like fairly new and just kind of starting out. What do you feel like are the most important steps for someone to go from that stage to like maybe a full-time income and starting to feel more confident and starting to see better results?
That's a really good question. So I hope I answer this correctly. Basically, I think having the guidance and what's most important to work on. I guess that's probably the biggest thing. Instead of like throwing the spaghetti at the wall, as the saying goes, like just trying to do everything all at once. But if you can focus in on what's most important in that moment and having someone help you with that, I think that's probably the biggest difference maker. And especially if someone is starting out or like brand new, um,
Yeah.
that having that one-to-one coach is such a game changer.
Yeah, I
Did I
completely
answer that
agree.
well enough? Like I,
Yeah, no, that was good.
yeah.
I love it because it's simple, right? Like, I mean, even recently, like I've had some like running injuries, and guess what I did? I hired a running recovery coach because I was just like, I'm so tired of these injuries. And like I'm just like, even though I've been running for many, many years, I'm like, I just want some support and guidance. And guess what? I mean, we're a month in and like I'm starting to see some improvements already. And I mean, it's how the world works, right? One of the greatest kind of, if you want to call, I don't like the word hack, but if you want to hack in life, is to surround yourself with the people who are already doing what you want to do or who have been along that journey. Because, I mean, as humans, like there's so many people out there that have done what you want to do. And surrounding yourself, getting inside those communities, learning from them is the fastest way for that. So I absolutely love that answer, Rhonda.
Yeah.
Um,
And I want to add on that a little bit, which I think
yeah.
is a really important piece. So, um, previously I burnt myself out where I was just go, go,
Yes.
go, go, go. And that was a big concern of mine coming into this program as well. I'm pretty sure I shared that with you too. Like I'm
Yes.
not really into like hustle culture to the point that you're being sacrificed at it. Like I'm not afraid of hard work, but there's a line and there's a boundary, and I wanted to make sure that that was like really upheld. And so just even this week on my call with Parker, he said like, how are you doing? How are you handling like the influx of clients? Like, and just preparing me to potentially hire a VA so that I'm making sure that I'm not
Mm.
overstretched. So I love that piece of it too, is that he's thinking about the future and making sure that I'm my own health is also being considered in this too.
Absolutely. And that's where like we are always riding the line of like, how can we get people as good as results as possible, but also sustainable, right? And always kind of riding that fine line because yeah, sometimes I mean, I've had clients before tell me, Ruben, I'm getting too many leads. And it's like, okay, let's work on that or whatever it is. And like that's a I mean, it's a great problem to have. I always say those are first world problems. You're getting too many clients. But we do also want to make sure you are recovering well. I often like compare the clients in our program to athletes, right? They train incredibly hard, but guess what they also do? They recover incredibly hard, right? I mean, if an athlete spends 2 hours, let's say, in a day working out, guess what they do for probably 4 hours? Like recovery, stretching, massage, like sauna, like they do all these things so that guess what? The next day they can go perform well again and then recover hard. And so it's that balance of I always say work hard, play harder, love the hardest. That's kind of like my home mentality is like I hustle within my boundaries and then I go and play and I go and just enjoy life, right? And I think it's a good way of looking at it. I like what you said. You have a good work ethic. You're okay with working hard, but you don't want to burn out or it to be unsustainable. And it's
Yeah.
it's all about finding what are those boundaries for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is really important for it to be sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. I love it. Well, folks, I'm gonna say it one more time. Any last questions you have for me or Rhonda? And if you're watching this after the fact, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube, you can comment down below your questions and we'll still get to them. Rhonda, is there anything else you wanted to say to the folks watching today, or are we just gonna sign it off there?
Yeah. I know. I think that that pretty much sums everything up that's happened in the last 2 months. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see where the next couple months take you. Obviously, this is just the start of your journey working in CCI, and I'm really excited to see where things take you. So, folks, be watching Rhonda as she excels, and yeah, I hope you. I mean, thanks for jumping on, folks. It always means a lot that you come to check these out. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the live, folks. If you've got any questions, reach out to me personally, and yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Hey, you are welcome.